Hi there, welcome to the Halftime Huddle, Wednesday midweek, where you get the opportunity to take a breath, to have a pause, because often we start the week with all good intentions, and then life happens, or the brown stuff hits the fan sometimes, and we have to take a little bit of breath halfway through. This is an opportunity to take a breath, spend some time listening to me waffle along and chatting with some interesting people, and get yourself ready for the second half. This week, I've been sort of talking very much as you if you've heard these before, you'll know that I'm very intrigued in people's stories, and we've got very much someone for whom stories are important. It's Mike Garner, the founder of Stories That Matter, and we will get into the messy story about why we do what we do, and so I'm looking forward to spending some time having a great conversation with Mike. So here we are. Welcome, Mike.
Good
Hi,
morning.
Mike.
Good afternoon. Just about good afternoon now, isn't it?
Just about. You're okay to say good afternoon, and we're on the tipping
We're
point
on the cusp.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're on the cusp. Yeah, no, it's great to have you here. Like I said, stories
to be
are a key part of what one of the things I like to do this for is that hearing other people's story gives you gives you an idea of that you're not the only one doing this. There's other people doing it, and people's journeys are all intriguing. We love a good story. And so, with that in mind, I like to start with the beginning story. Well, what is your origin story? Why do you do what you
my
do?
origins.
Yeah, how did you get to where you got? And I know you've got a bit of a route in that I'd love to hear and for you to share with
Yeah,
the others.
my routine is a bit contorted, let's say. I've been responsible for my own income, as I call it, for scarily almost 30 years. Um, and I suppose it kind of, I won't go into all the details, but it started in 1996 when I was unemployed. I was living in France. And I thought, well, I speak French, I speak English, I know I'll be a translator. You don't know what you don't know, and all that. Um, and I kind of made a go of it. This is in the days before, even before Alta Vista, let alone Google. And all I had was my Harrop's French English dictionary from A levels 20 years previously. But I kind of made a go of it. And I was living in France at the time. I moved back here in 2003. And I kind of morphed into being a copywriter because I got bored of translating other people's bad French. Um, but again, I was doing okay. I was paying the bills, not exactly putting up any trees, as they say. And then COVID happened, or 2020 happened, rather than COVID. Apart from all the other things that happened in 2020, we put my mother in a home because she had Alzheimer's and she was a danger to herself, to be quite frank. A week later, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. So January 2020 started off with something of a bang. I mean, my wife is fine now. Um, then obviously lockdown happened, and after that, then what happened then? Well, my mother had a bad fall, and basically she had a bleed on the brain. So she came out of hospital for palliative care, and she died on the 21st of June, which was the day after my wife's 60th birthday. I say all that because it does get better. Um, when that kind of thing is happening to you, you kind of roll with the punches. You think, okay, what's going to happen tomorrow? But then afterwards, then you think, well, what the hell did just happen? I was thinking, right, I'm the wrong side of 60. My mother was 26 when I was born. What? So that's my yardstick. What am I going to do with the rest of my life? Um, Time to get imposter syndrome, um, lack of self belief, and all that. Is 20 basically got me writing because I'm a copywriter. I can write about you with my eyes closed. It's not because that's what I do. But writing about myself was an absolute nightmare, and a lot of people feel that. that it's really difficult to talk about ourselves because of what we were told when we were kids. Don't brag. No one likes to show off. Stay in your lane. Don't get your hopes up, and all that. Oh, he's a bit of a show off, isn't he? Or a bit full of himself. I used to hear that all the time as a kid, and those things stay with us. Anyway, I sat down with Margot, and she got me writing, and I wrote 20,000 words in 3 weeks. Simply because she said to me, just because you write something down doesn't mean to say you have to publish it. But write it down you must, because you can't edit what's in your head. And some of the stuff that I wrote will stay on my hard drive forever. Some of the other stuff that I wrote, I think, well, that's not so bad. And it ended up in the book that I ended up writing afterwards. But it was a sudden realization, and it was a real flash in the sky moment when I thought, actually, yes, I do have something worth saying. Because I spent most of my adult life, 40 years basically, thinking that no one cared what I had to say. And we all think that because our lives are humdrum. We think our lives are humdrum because we live within ourselves. We don't see ourselves the way other people see us. So the kind of things that we do, the kind of things that I've done, people think they're quite extraordinary. People get really surprised when I say I speak 2 languages. Well, yeah, because it's just part of my life, and I don't think there's anything remarkable about that, but other people do apparently. So that in a nutshell is how I came to the idea that we all have a story to tell, and everything I've done since then has been based on that.
And you're so right. I mean, it is very much the situation where we do sit and think, oh, what have I got to say? My life is getting up in the morning, doing what I do, going to bed in the evening, and and that's it. Why would anybody want to listen to what I do or what I say, or etc. And then I would imagine the challenge people face is when they come to wanting to help and support people. That's what people are interested in. They're interested in their story there, and so
yes, they are, and they underplay the influence that they have on other people. I think there's a really interesting story. It's a great story. This, which illustrates it completely. Neil Gaiman, who was no slouch in terms of achieving things himself, was at a meeting of the great and good. I can't remember when it was. Lifetime achievements, full of Nobel Prize winners. And he was there thinking, well, I've done nothing special. Apart from spelling a few million books, Neil, you've done nothing special. But he got talking to this little old man, also called Neil, and they bonded over their shared first name. And he was saying as well the same thing. I've done nothing special. I just went where I was told to go. Nothing remarkable in that. Yeah, that little old man was Neil Armstrong. So if Neil Armstrong can feel that he's done nothing special in his life, then I think there's hope for us all.
Absolutely. And you're right. And one of the things that comes out of the story that you told is that we don't always know where we're going in the story. We don't even always know where the end is. We don't even know.
No.
And basically, the story builds up by us taking one step after another step after another step. And it builds from that. So, like you say, Neil Armstrong's one step up on the moon followed a journey that took him through Navy, RAF, or whatever.
Yeah, he was a Navy pilot, wasn't he? I think. Yeah.
And step by step, just doing as he's told, basically.
Yeah, but there's a whole story after Neil Armstrong because he dealt with fame he had difficulty with fame, I think. And that's the whole nature of a story. I mean, a story is a transformation, and there's a so-called happy ever after. Yeah. But then is the resolution. Let's say the happy ever after. But then there's what happens next? Because it is the happy ever after is never a permanent state. There's always another problem. I mean, it's problem resolution. Problem solution resolution is what a story is really. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just an anecdote. And there's nothing wrong with anecdotes, really, but I mean, actual stories are where there is a transformation.
Yes.
Even, I went out for dinner with my wife last night. We went out because we were hungry and she got home late from work. That was the problem. We had a very nice dinner. There was a nice resolution, and but then again this morning life starts again.
Yes, yes. I've always thought that the real hard work often in life and in situations starts at the and then they all lived happily ever after. That's when
Yeah,
the fairy prince and the princess then have to deal with all like I say, our humdrum lives that keep
well,
us from one
exactly,
step to
because life isn't. I don't want to get too philosophical about it, but life isn't a bed of roses, and nor should it be either. I get a couple of times in the last few months, I've been asked by people half my age, or had been in conversations with people basically half my age, that think I've got it all sorted out. If only. No, but I don't want to have it all sorted out. I want to have something to challenge me today, tomorrow. Otherwise, what's the point? Again, without kind of going all absurd philosopher on you, we do need.
Oh, sorry, I'm not sure.
Have we
You
frozen?
you went a
No.
bit robotic for a while.
Yeah,
Told
I froze then. No, but I think we're okay now.
Yes, good. So you're about to go all philosopher on us and then not.
Well, yeah, maybe that's what I shouldn't have done. No, but it's the nature of human nature to have problems to deal with. Yeah, I could go and live on a desert island and I'd be bored out of my skull.
Hmm.
I think I'd have to, because we need a reason to get up in the morning. All of us do.
No. Yeah.
Um,
You're not wrong. Then often people, if they don't find a problem, they manufacture one.
well, just one example. Seeing my mother basically fall off a cliff with Alzheimer's. She was 3 years between diagnosis and her dying from it, because basically all her friends had died off. And she ended up, and she was very frail as well. And she ended up spending a day watching TV.
Hmm.
So she didn't stimulate herself all the time. So she just went to pot basically. So I just don't want to be like that.
No.
But I look at people like David Attenborough, who was 99 a couple of weeks ago, or Dick Van Dyke, who was 100
Yes.
this year, and Pete Murray as well is 100. I mean, I thought he'd gone a long time ago, but Pete Murray's 100 in September, I think, and they're still working.
Yes.
If I could be like that, I'd be very happy.
No, you are so right. There is a tendency and a trend to work your life so that you can have a rest at the end, and often the
Yeah,
rest is short lived and essentially because like you say we're here to work and to do things, and if you carry on doing things, it keeps
I
you
think the
alive, it keeps
notion,
you strong.
yeah, the notion of retirement came around, well, in the kind of late 19th, early 20th century, for industrial workers largely who got to the age of 60 or 65 and they were broken from their and they lasted 2 or 3 years afterwards and that was it. Whereas now the notion of a career is completely different to what it
Mm.
was back in the back. I mean, my father spent 40 years on the railways. He retired at 55 and had another career afterwards, but he was of a generation, probably the last generation, where you spent your entire career in one job. I mean, some of the people I know people I was at school with that have retired now. One particular guy who was a nurse throughout his entire career, and he retired at 60, however old he was. But I've never lasted more than 3 years in a job, apart from being self-employed.
No, absolutely, and you're right, and I think that you are very right that that tends to be a trend nowadays with people moving, because I think they understand and recognize that meaning for them in life isn't about being an employee for so and so. Meaning is about finding what you need to do and finding your passion, and they move until they find that. I think a lot of them, because there's a desire to to feel as if they've got some purpose in life, and purpose in life is more
Yeah.
than just getting up and working from 9 to 5 for someone else.
From what I hear, yeah, you're kind of the Gen Zs, as it were, or even, well, Gen Alphas are a bit young at the moment. But yeah, they not taking a job for a career, or a lifelong career anyway. It's a succession of experiences, which I think is the right way to do it.
Absolutely, and all these experiences build up your story. So we're
Exactly.
back on the
Exactly.
surface.
Yes. Yeah. And I do, when I do work with clients, for example, I would take their entire lifetime, because there are things that I learned when I was a kid that I use now. I mean, I'm a copywriter now. I've been a translator, and even the translation informs the way I write as well, and the way I think. Before that, I was in the 80s and the 90s. I was a travel agent, a business travel agent. So I built relationships with clients, which is obviously important now. I've got a degree in history, which I got in 1981, but that took that so 44 years ago. That taught me how to think. That taught me how to work out what's important, what's not important, interpret things, see trends and stuff like that. And I use that all the time now. I can take it right back to when I was a kid. My father worked for the railways, and we went to Spain every year on the train to Spain. What 7-year-old wouldn't want to go on a train, day and a half on the train to Spain? What 66-year-old wouldn't either, actually, to be quite frank. But that's when I heard other kids speaking other languages. I thought, what's all this about? They must think in English, don't they? You don't know what you don't know. I started in primary school. I did French when I was 8. So in 1966, that was quite revolutionary. I mean, it's pretty unheard of now. So by the time I got to senior school, I was top of the class. Oh, this is good. It was the only thing I was top of the class at. And it's taken me all the way through. I did O levels. That dates me as well. I did A levels. Funnily enough, I've done A level French twice. I got an E the first time round. I got a D the second time round. And then I got a degree, and now I can pass the French. So, don't worry about
It is funny.
A levels, kids.
Absolutely, and it's also intriguing how our. I mean, one of the themes sometimes that comes up in our conversations is about strengths and weaknesses, or superpowers and kryptonite, and things like that. And it's also intriguing how that isn't stable either. That doesn't stay the same.
No.
Our strengths. It's all part of the unfolding journey of our lives, and like you say, at school you were top sort of French. You moved forward, and it dropped, and you moved to another direction, and so your strengths and your weaknesses flow and ebb, and based
all the
upon
time.
yeah.
I mean, I dropped history in the 3rd year, which is going to date me. I can't remember what year that is these days.
No,
I was 14. I was 14. And then, I don't know, I was in the 6th form looking for extra O levels to do, so I thought I'd do history. And that was a revelation to me. And I did O level and A level history at the same time. Because I don't know, I've missed out on it first time round, but I got a second chance at it. When I was at university, I hated doing translation. Then 20 years later, I did it again because I trained to be a teacher in France. That's a whole different story. And I thought, this translation lark's not that bad. And then the rest is history, as it were.
Indeed. And I love the idea of you falling in love again with history and the story of other people's lives, and other
Well,
people's.
yes. I mean, it's probably kind of pretty obvious. I mean, it makes again, it makes complete sense. I've got a degree in history, you know, because it's what is not history if it's not a kind of succession of stories.
Absolutely,
It's
absolutely,
it's
and
in the word. It's in the title.
it is in the title, and I think that the trend in history, has moved from um, uh, kings and queens and lords and ladies and empires and emperors to the history and the story of people who lived their lives during those particular times. And again, that's back to you about people's individual stories.
It did. It no longer, despite what. Yeah, and it's less and less, and it's less now the history of great men with capital letters, as they used to call it.
Oh, we're going a bit roboty again.
You know, um, not, we are a
You're
bit.
back. I
Yeah.
can I can say I can hear you now.
Let me change my. Yeah, I'm.
If we go, we were talking about great men and their with capital letters and capital.
Right.
Oh, so what are we doing here? Let's have a look. Hello, people. So people who are listening to this, this is the beauty of going live. Are we going? So Mike, are you back? That's a bit better. Okay, I can see you moving now, Mike.
How are we doing?
We do. I can hear and see you. There we go. Beauty. The beauty of what we're of doing this live and in front of people where stuff can happen. Can you hear me okay? Oh, we're going quiet. We can see and hear you, Mike. Can you hear me? So, let's have a go. You typing, Mike? Look. Hello, people. So this is the beauty of doing this live. Chat. Oh. Okay. What we might do, people, is if you I can put you to some kind of. Mike has gone, so I'll go to me for the moment. So apologies for the fact that this has stalled a little bit. What we will do is I will see if I can try and get Mike back because I'm enjoying. I don't know whether you are. I'm enjoying the conversation we're having about stories and history and about people in the background. So what I will do is I will see if we can break and come back and go live again. So bear with. I will see you in a minute and we'll see what we can do. So I will see you in a second.